today, you guys are here for our featured presenter. She's the founder and president of Lightspan Digital, a Chicago digital marketing agency for the bold. Mana is also the creator of the Learn to Love Change video series with the mission to bravely tackle difficult topics and make change easier for all those who feel stuck. Mana has written for Forbes and is a featured tech expert for a number of news shows. One thing you might not know about our presenter is that she is a passionate scuba diver and has just returned from diving the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Today, she is here to show how to craft a mission statement that will make an impact. Please give a warm Dream Bank welcome to Mana Ionescu.
Thank you, and thank you for coming today. And for those of you who are watching, this place here is magical. So for those of you who are new, I got a chance to tour a little bit last night, and my mind is blown. And I put a little story on Instagram. So if you want to watch that or send me messages, I am on Twitter and Instagram at Manamica, Manamica. I will not be checking it right now, but send me questions or comments, and I will get back to you after. So again, thank you for coming. Let's talk about mission statements. And I always like to start by getting some of your questions because it sucks to do a presentation and then realize at the end that I didn't answer the questions that you may have had. And I got one from you earlier, so thank you. Any other questions or things that you'd love to learn today? Yes.
General processes for engagement and mission statement creation.
Good question, yeah. So the process to put together a mission statement. And by engagement, you mean getting people to contribute to it?
Yeah, in a collective.
Okay. So how to get people to collaborate and help create a mission statement?
I'm interested in like sustainability.
Yep.
You have this created, you gather, momentum and excitement around it, and then how do you sustain that?
Okay, so you gather momentum and excitement around creating the mission statement, and then how do you sustain that excitement? So how do you make it continuously aspirational and inspiring? Great. Anything else? Those are great questions, because those are some of the things that people struggle with the most when they put together a mission statement, is the process to getting there, and then how to get buy-in from everybody, and then how to keep it going for an extended period of time so that it doesn't become this forgotten thing, somewhere in the back of a drawer. So we'll talk about that. But let me start with this. I'll grab my little clicker here. Let's talk about how I began to talk about the power of words. So years ago, I worked at HSBC, which at the time was the largest financial corporation in the world, And I was told over and over again in my reviews that I was too direct. So I was very ambitious, and I was like, I can fix this. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to talk like them. And I started talking like a complete idiot. I would start, every point I tried to make, I would start it with a long introduction and asking permission to make the point, and it was like 10 minutes before I could say anything. And I noticed a pattern where a lot of us were talking like that, where we could fill space, but we weren't actually saying anything meaningful. And my boyfriend at the time says, I think you have a speech impediment. He says, you have a corporate speech impediment. And he suggested that I read this book, Why Business People Speak Like Idiots. And it's very funny, and at first it was horrifying, because I caught myself, I realized, the first thing that happens when you start reading this book is that you realize that we're all guilty of some of these patterns of speech. We all have that speech impediment. We use dull language. We use big words that we hear other people using or that we think are trendy and hot. And in doing so, we are not as impactful as we can be anymore. We actually undermine the message that we're trying to get across. And then what happens is all of that starts seeping into the mission statements and everything else that we do. Like we have clients coming to us, my agency does digital marketing, and they'll come to us and we notice how they're trying to put in their social media posts the same language that they would use in the office. And people from outside the organization don't know that jargon. When they read things on social media, they're there because it's social media. They don't want to be hit with some PhD level text that they can't comprehend. They read so fast and move through content so fast that if the content is not inspiring, it's not catchy, it's not educating them, entertaining them, keeping them for more than 3 seconds, they've forgotten about you. So how do we get people's attention? Because this old way is not going to do it. Talking about stakeholders and even engagement. It's funny, when I was rehearsing this, engagement was one of the terms I was going to bring up, and it was part of your question, the way you stated your question. And we have companies come to us and they say, we want more engagement on social media. And I actually did a video about this because it's one of my pet peeve words, engagement, because it means absolutely nothing. Now tell me, do you want more likes on your posts? Do you want more people to comment? And ultimately, what does that translate to? So words matter, and words can be incredibly powerful, or they can completely undermine your message. So let's talk about some of the things that happen here. We're going to start with examples. We're going to look at a few mission statements, examples of what not to do. And we're going to start with McDonald's. Yeah, we're going for the big ones. The first problem here is that McDonald's has 2 mission statements. Now, the one at the top apparently is not their mission statement now. This one here is, but if you go online, you find both of them on their website. Their domain name, McDonald's websites, both of these appear. So that's very confusing. So how can you expect to have, did my microphone go out? How can you expect to have the ability to inject this in everything that you do within your organization if you have 2 of them? When people are looking for jobs and they're researching and they're trying to decide what McDonald's is all about, how are they to know which one is the relevant one, which one is the new one, right? So this is a big problem. And I actually found other organizations that have the same thing. And I found mission statements that contradict themselves within the mission statement. They'll have like 2 sentences. The first sentence contradicts the second, or the second contradicts the first. You see a lot of this. So the first thing here is clarity. You have to be clear on your purpose. Other issues here is that this one here is grammatically incorrect. If you're going to spend millions of dollars on agency work and advertising, you can spare some dollars to actually get a copywriter to proof check what you're writing. Then the language is vague, and then it's fake, because if you do a check-in, if you take the pulse with your audiences and you say, hey, this is our mission statement, you're our customers, what do you think of this? They'll be like, this is BS. This is not who you are. This is not what I see when I come to your stores. Right? So it has to be who you truly are, or who you actually, it has to be who you aspire to be, and then you need to invest in changing your culture to match that. And then there's inside talk in here, stuff that doesn't belong. Mission statements are something that you proudly want to be able to tell people. And they have here plan to win with center, which should be centers on an exceptional customer experience, people, products, place, price, promotion. It's like from a marketing textbook. Down here, they fixed it. They actually, there were a lot of articles that criticized their old ones, so I'm glad that they paid attention and they changed it to something that seems a little bit more clear and more aspirational. But now it feels a little too safe. Our aim is to, and they lost me at that first verb, because when you say my aim is to, what you're saying is, we're not there yet, we suck at it, but We aim to fix it, maybe. What they should have here is we will provide. This is if your mission statement is a maybe, that's not a mission statement. You're still trying to sort yourself out. You're still trying to figure out who you are. And so that means you need to do more work to figure out what your will be, what your commitment will be, what path do you want to go down. MGM Resorts, I laugh when I read this one because it's so pompous, yet it's not a mission statement. This is just a description of who they are. From the beginning, from the first verb, MGM Resorts International is. That's not a mission statement. Saying what I am today, that's not aspirational. That's not something that I'm driving toward. That's not my reason for being. This is just a marketing piece. This could go into an ad. It's not going to elicit any positive action from anyone within that organization if you stay with it that way. So I love this quote from Wendy because it says, in some business circles, mission statements are received only slightly better than tax increases. Mission statements are so controversial because some business consultants will say, you don't need one anymore in this day and age. You need goals and they need to be smart. Or you need a positioning statement, which is a little bit more firm and aggressive. You do need a mission statement. I mean, imagine going through life without knowing who you are and what you're all about. Why are you here? What is your reason for being? What is the change you want to make in the world? That is the mission statement, the big why. And it's difficult to get there. Now, some confuse vision statements with mission statements. Usually those get developed together because you have to have a vision to actually craft a mission statement. Values are wrapped in here as well. It is important to do an exercise and figure out what your core values are for your organization before you can write your mission statement. And typically, as you start writing your mission statement, all of those questions come up. And the outcome of this may be that you'll have all of three. For values, an exercise that I learned recently about, we did a video interview with an expert in mindfulness, and we were talking about the importance of when you go to Facebook, when you go to social media, to keep your values in mind as you engage online, to say, what I'm doing online right now, is it in line with my values? And he said to identify your core values or the three of focus, let's say, narrow it down to 3 values of focus. You can do a very simple exercise where you put 10 values up on Post-it notes and put them on a board and write 10 values. And then think through it and start taking some away. Which ones are not something that leads my behavior or my life right now, until you get down to 3. Now, your values of focus can change, right? So just to get started, to identify 3 of them, you can do a simple exercise like that. There is a bit of a video that I wanted to show today, but I didn't want to get into any technical issues. But if any of you are interested in seeing the full interview and that bit about the values, I can send you the link after. So what is the value of having a mission statement? Besides, you have personal mission statement, you have corporate mission statements. The personal one, I advise everybody to try to think of one. They can change over time. But studies have shown that there is true value to organizations to having mission statements. Now, the funny thing is that I probably have to translate this for you because it's that speaking like an idiot language over here. So what they're trying to say here, the results of the study show that when you have a compelling mission statement, your employees will start to be able to see themselves outside of their day-to-day jobs and be able to see what their role is within the organization and what they can do to help you move forward as a company. It expands their perception of what they can do, so they'll be more proactive in helping. And they found that they have higher productivity and they will connect with customers in in more impactful ways to the organization. And now in business talk, when I see higher productivity, what I'm thinking of is cost reduction. we're gonna get more bang for the buck, and we're gonna retain customers. They're gonna be happier, which means more dollars, more revenue, right? So there are ways to make mission statements measurable, because that's one of the concerns with mission statements, that it's something that you can't measure the impact, but you can. And studies have shown that it is possible. Now, if you're a solopreneur, as some of you may be, what can a mission statement contribute to? It can keep you motivated. Those of you, I'm a solopreneur, so I don't have partners, and it's the loneliest job I've ever had. All the complaints come to me. I have to make all decisions on my own, and so on. So it's a very lonely job. And having a mission statement grounds me, helps me stay focused, it helps me stay motivated. Now, mission statements can change over time. So they shouldn't be this thing that, oh, if they don't inspire you, it's time to change them. If you're a company leader, it can strengthen your brand, it can be your guide to marketing, and to customer service. It's definitely critical to attracting and retaining employees. In Chicago, we have a huge issue with finding talent. And I see a lot of job posts and people saying, we can't find anybody for this role. And I read the job post and I'm like, well, you're speaking like an idiot. And I can't tell who you are. And I can't tell what change you want to make in the world. So of course you're not attracting the best of the best, because the best of the best have their own personal mission statement. They aspire to great things. And if you don't have that same powerful mission statement and know how to express it, those people who are the best of the best are not going to be attracted to you. All right. Now, why do we create dull mission statements? Can anybody guess? The answer is up here. When it comes to language, one of the most interesting things I found is that people get stage fright. Businesses come to us with stage fright. They are so afraid to express themselves as regular people online that they either don't do it at all, or they overthink everything, and it takes them $1 million to put out one tweet, or they put out that verbose, jargony, boring content that's boilerplated. It's fear. Some of the worst decisions I've seen being done in business were fear triggered. And if you think about it, you will see that happening in our society, you will see that happening in business, you're going to see that happening in your personal lives. When we allow fear to make decisions for us, we're going to end up without a mission statement, or with 2 mission statements like McDonald's, or with something that's completely meaningless. So I encourage people who are truly committed to doing more and to advancing their businesses to do a gut check about your level of fear, as well as your level of commitment to what you're about to do. Because there's also fear about saying, here's my brilliant vision, but if I don't get there, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna feel terrible, and so might as well just lower the bar so I'm safe. I do that. I set my lofty goal, and then I second guess myself. And then I just see how my goal gets smaller and smaller and smaller. If you are in a company, and so you want to engage everybody, using the term engagements is the question involved that term. If you want to engage people into it, that's where some of these things need to be discussed. You know, what are we afraid of? If we weren't afraid of this, how high would we aim? And collectively have those conversations. It's business vulnerability, it's what I call it. And business vulnerability, just like vulnerability in general, can be very healthy for an organization. It can help you identify areas of friction. It can help you identify where you need to fix things. But it also can help bring people together to have honest conversations about what we want to be when we grow up. So why do you want a mission statement? Let's talk about that first. If you're here just because somebody told you that you need a mission statement, feel free to walk out or exit. If you're here because you know you need a better mission statement, then we're going to talk about it. But even when you sit down with your colleagues to come up with something, you need to bring up this question. Why do you think we need a mission statement? A lot of conversation needs to happen there. And again, it has to be open and honest. Do you want to use it for marketing? Do you want to use it to attract more customers? Do you want it to guide your employees? Do you want it to be the backbone of your culture? It can be all of those. And it's important to have this conversation because as we're going to go through and look at a model for building a mission statement, the words you use in these discussions are going to go on a list of potential words we're going to use in the mission statement. And by words, I mean we're going to be looking at verbs. We're going to be looking at people, places, so areas where we can make impact. And we're going to look at our aspirations. What makes a compelling mission statement? Well, again, if you're just doing it because you had to do it, it's probably not going to turn into a compelling mission statement. So the attitude that we start this process with is very important. Mission statements, good mission statements that influence people, that inspire people, usually say a lot with very few words. They are clear in thought as well as in language. The McDonald's one there was not very clear in thought because they had two different ones. They're fearlessly optimistic and they're aspirational. They share the change you want to make in the world. Now, somebody earlier, you were telling me earlier that you don't feel like, you're not like a nonprofit, right? Where your mission could be to change the human condition in some area. The change you make in the world could be your world, however you define it. I could say my world is Chicago. And the change I want to make is to make sure that Chicago has a better system for submitting, this is a true story, I didn't come up with this, but Chicago has a better system for dealing with potholes. That's the change I want to make in the world. And that was something that a Chicagoan did where he created an app where people could submit pothole fill requests and it goes straight to the city and whatnot, right? So it doesn't have to be that we're going to cure cancer necessarily, although I hope somebody has that mission. I hope a lot of people have that mission because it's going to be teamwork. A lot of people are going to need to work on it. And then another thing is that it should show your talents and how your talents will help make that change. So a little bit of self-awareness is important there. But nowhere here to say that it's going to talk about your products or services. That belongs in your positioning statement. And having a strong mission statement can help you develop your positioning statement. But mission statements usually are neutral of the services, the work that we actually do. If you heard the mission statement that Jake read out for me and for us, it has to do with helping people learn to love change. We do digital marketing. There's a lot of change that needs to happen in digital marketing. So we get to see, our talent is to be able to see where people struggle with making the change that needs to happen. So what we want to do is help people learn how to be okay with change so that they can get unstuck, whether it's through digital marketing or through these sessions, right? So mission statements usually go beyond just what you produce. Here's where we're going to get into the exercise. And you can start now writing down on a sheet of paper or 3 sheets of paper these categories. All great, impactful, influential, effective. I'm trying to add lots of adjectives to this instead of saying just good mission statements, because saying good is, again, one of those vague things. Have these 3 elements. And you who are watching from home, please also get a sheet of paper or 3 and write these categories. Our cause, which is the who, what, where. Our action, what we will do. You noticed in the examples that I showed you, they all started with a verb. And our impact, the positive change we want to make in the world. Okay, so examples here are, cause is like your subject in a sentence, right? Remember earlier I said we're going to look at words. We're going to tell stories. We're going to ask questions and look at the words we're using. Cause is the subject in a sentence. Action is your verb. So here we can have, for the who, where, what, we have developing areas, we have the world, families, communities, local economies. Like I said, the potholes of Chicago. Define your world, or who you're helping. The action is a verb, so you sign there, and we have more examples coming up. And then our impact is a positive change, so you can go for offering more opportunities to your subject, more security to your subject, more health, and so on. So let's look at some examples. Got your 3 columns or 3 sheets? Yes? Good. All right, Oprah's mission statement. We're going to look at 3 examples that are from different, are very different from their source. So one of them is an individual mission statement. We're going to also look at a big corporate mission statement, and then we're going to look at a mission statement for a consciously capitalist big company. So, Oprah's is to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than they thought they could be. So, the cause is the students, right? And I'm pretty sure that by students, she does not mean school students. Who are her students? Who are Oprah's students? And you, right? All of us. But she refined it. She called it students instead of saying people. Students, people who want and need to learn, right? So I love that choice of words. Action, teach. And then the impact, to be known. And I love this example because this is her personal mission statement. She wants to be famous for this. And it's in her mission statement, unapologetically so. To be known, to inspire students to be more than they thought they could be. Okay? What do you think about this mission statement? Do you see what Oprah does? Is this true to what she does and who she is and how she acts? You're smirking over there. What are you thinking? Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Google. To organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Cause. All people, businesses, universally. Again, I love the choice of words because it could be universally means more than people. Action. Organize the world's information. Impact, make the world's information accessible and useful to all. Do you feel like what they're doing is true to this mission statement? I bet you didn't think of it this way, right? You didn't know this was their mission statement? Yeah, and you probably didn't think that that's what they would put out as a mission statement. But you can see how everything, Google Maps, everything that they're doing actually is true to this. Also, they're collecting all of our information. So, Patagonia. Patagonia's mission statement, build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. Cause, people, planet, it's implied. Environmental crisis. Action, build the best product, use business to inspire and implement. Impact, cause no unnecessary harm in the process of doing these, right? And implementing the solutions to the environmental crisis. They can refine this a little bit more because they use terms like implement solutions. I'm not sure what that really means. But I'm bringing this one up because this is one where I saw the strongest tie to marketing. And I'm seeing some signals back there that we're good? Yeah. And yeah, it's very tied to marketing. So if you go to YouTube or Vimeo, you'll see Patagonia has produced documentaries. And they're documentaries that fit in with this mission very, very well. And of course, we all know that they're all about the environment and so on, but you can see it very well in their marketing. Okay, so let's start writing ours. Now, this is not something you'll be able to do right here today, but this is where bringing people together is important. And the first thing to do is, so if you don't have a team, talk to a friend. That's why I put friend in quotes, because a friend implies, what I mean by friend is create a safe space where you can actually freely tell stories. And there's two kinds of stories that we need to tell. One of them is stories of how what we've done has made an impact somewhere. And then stories of how it will make an impact. This is where the vision comes into play. So if you're working in the world, given your skills and talents, your superpowers, what will the outcome be? Every organization has superpowers. You just need to think of them like that. It takes boldness, it takes courage to go through this, because this is the backbone of your organization. This is the backbone of what you're trying to build. So you gotta do it bravely. So make up stories into the future. What will it look like? And write them down. Ask also a few other questions. Why are we in this industry? Why did we start this business? What image of our business do we want to convey? That's where the Patagonia tie into their marketing. There were other questions that I gave you earlier, one of them being, why do you want this mission statement? I could totally see how Patagonia's answer there was, we want this mission statement because it's going to impact everything that we do outwardly. It's going to impact our marketing. That's what we want it for. That's our primary reason for why we're designing it right now. Again, these can change. So don't stress over, I think McDonald's is the only one who forgot that if you put something on the internet, it can stay there forever unless you take it down. But we're not putting things in stone anymore. We can change them. And then start looking for, I called that out earlier, the verbs, the subjects, okay, the objects in those sentences. This is like a grammar exercise. You look at your sentences of the stories you've told, and you look for the words that express the change you're going to make in the world. So then on your pieces of paper there, on your sheets, you can start listing the who, what, where. Okay? And then so on. I'm going to stop here. How do you feel about where we are at right now? Do you feel like you could get the who, the action, and the impact listed for the vision you have, for what you want to accomplish? Yes? Good. It's going to take some work. Now, the hardest part is going to be writing it into that clear, concise So, start with the draft that starts with 2. Put in your action, cause, impact. You're gonna have multiple sentences here, unless you're able to just narrow it down to just 1 or 2 for each. Do not worry about grammar at this point, or literally just put these together. Put the words together. You know, like, have you ever played that game? I'm from Romania. We have this game where you take a sheet of paper and you like fold it like an accordion, and then you write a word, and then you pass it to the next person. They're not supposed to look at what you wrote, and then they write a word, and then you laugh at what the final word is. We didn't have TV or internet when I grew up, so we still played fun games. Maybe that's a game you guys can develop, a mobile game. It does the same thing. So just write it like that. 'Cause then we're going to refine it. You're going to rewrite it 5 times. 5 times. It's a lot of rewriting. It's a pain. But do you know what makes great writing? Rewriting. Rewriting makes great writing. Nobody submitted their first draft and won an award. Good writers rewrite and rewrite obsessively. And you'll have to do it. This is the hardest part. This is the longest piece of this process. Then do a check on that list that I gave you earlier. Does it say a lot with a few words? Is it clear in thought and language? Ask other people, hey, how can I make this word more clear? Ask those friends that we talked about earlier. Go into a forum online and post it and ask people to give you feedback. There are Reddit forums for this. Well, people will just go and post something that they want feedback on, and then Reddit is ruthless, man. You know you'll get the honest answer if you post it on Reddit. Do not do a survey, because people are just going to tell you what you want to hear. But you go on Reddit, there's some words I was about to use that I probably should not use on camera, but that's what your butt's going to get it on Reddit, and you're going to be ready to be brave and put some clear words in that mission statement. Does it feel optimistic and aspirational? Your question about how to keep people excited about it has to do with 2 things. One of it could be the words, that they're not uplifting enough, upbeat enough. Like some of the words I showed you earlier, we aim to, that word just destroyed my enthusiasm. And the other thing is that then you have to take these words. If you are able to reach that clarity, you'll be able to take those words and then turn them into activities within your organization that turn those words into real life that people can feel. One thing that I learned at HSBC was that there were these words and values where they had programs that tried to emphasize, to stress those. Another company that we worked with was Coyote Logistics. And again, I cannot say the full thing. That was one of their driving. You would walk into their office and they had a thing that said F yeah, but it was spelled out. It was not F yeah. And that was their attitude. Yeah, we're gonna do it. So they made those words real. And then, does it show the change you want to make in the world? And then does it show your talents? What you're going to contribute to the world to make that change? So you do that check. And then we can do another check. Then you're going to read it out loud. Does it sound like a real person talking? And I actually recommend this for everything, especially social media posts. Before you put something on social media, if you don't want to speak like an idiot, then, and if somebody tunes into this video when I just said that, I probably look like a complete a-hole, a horrible person, calling people idiots. It's in the context. If you just tuned in, that's within the context. So yeah, does it sound like a real person? I learned this, my first aspiration in life was to be a TV broadcaster until I was told that my accent, they were never gonna accept my accent. And I was doing lessons. I was trying to lose my accent, so I speak like a TV person that's America approved. And then I changed my aspirations to other things, and I'm glad I did. But while I was doing that, I realized that all TV journalists read out loud the script. I mean, everybody was sitting there reading out loud what was being written because you want to sound like a real person. And so that's when I learned that the other key to good writing is to read it out loud and do that check and make sure that it sounds good. And then shout it from the rooftops. Especially in the age of social media where things move so fast and people's attention spans are like that, the key is it's repetition and persistency. We have to repeat the same thing over and over again before people want to see it, then register it, then remember it. And then persistency is, again, an attitude that we're now committed to this. If you feel like you cannot be committed to your mission statement, it's not a mission statement. Scrap it, start over.